Good evening and welcome to Firearms and Fellowship Podcast. In life, sometimes you meet those people, and within the first 5 minutes, you feel like you've met them, you've known them your whole life. Well, George McAllister is one of those people, and I'm honored to have him on the show tonight. George, welcome.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. I'm happy to be here. Hey, folks, how's everybody tonight? I hope everybody had as good a day as I did.
Amen to that. So, we're going to talk about this LC Smith that you've been working on and repairing. I'm going to pull up some pictures for people to see what this thing looked like when you started, because it was a mess.
It was pretty ratty. It was broken. It, but I'm really pleased with the way it came for a buddy of mine. It was an old family gun that had gotten away from him, and he was managed to get it back. Came back with a broken stock, and oh, it was terrible. It was the metal was bad. And he asked me could I do something with it, and I was thankful that he asked me, but then I was scared to death. I said, "Oh man, I can't mess this up." So, but it came out good, and I'm gonna get to give it back to him tomorrow, and he doesn't know that yet. And
Okay,
but I got my wife's approval on it, so it must be okay.
there you go. Well, for people that don't know these old LC Smiths, uh, there's not a lot of meat around that action as far as wood. And when that wood starts drawing back and it starts getting loose, they're real prone to breaking. They're right around the action, and also they're real thin through the wrist.
Yeah.
And so they're when they're new and tight, they're a good strong gun. They're sort of the sum of all parts makes it strong. But as as one leg gives way, as they say, the whole thing can come tumbling down, and that's what happened here. So let's take a look at what you ended up with, because I think it looks really, really good.
I'm
Uh,
pleased. I'm
kind of
pleased.
kind of talk to people about what you had to do to get to this point, and
Okay.
how
Okay.
how long did it take you, George?
I think I worked on it some part every day for about 3 weeks. When I'd find myself getting tired, I'd just stop because I was afraid
Yeah,
I was going to mess up. Uh,
I
you
think
can
it
see,
turned
you
out
can see that
really
repair. That repair you see there, where I put those two pieces of wood back together. That's some Brownell's Acro glass I put in there, and I tried to match it, but it didn't match exactly. But it's okay. I mean, it's smooth and it's solid. Uh, but the gun inside is pretty fragile. The gun is not going to be a shooter. It's a wall.
right.
I wouldn't shoot it. Uh, but it came out good. The wood cleaned up good. The metal cleaned up great on the outside. The Damascus is pretty in the gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
That
is.
that piece you see, that wooden piece right above the triggers and right below the action and the hammers, that little thin piece going under there, that was all missing. All of that was gone. And
Yeah.
that's a thin little piece that I carved and put in there, and then the top piece was broken out, and I had to take it out, put it all back together. But
Yeah, that little sliver of wood on each side underneath the action is it's smaller than your pinky finger. I mean,
it
there's
is.
just hardly anything there. And for anybody that really wants to see what these things look like taken apart, go check out Mark Novak's YouTube channel. He took one apart, and it's a fascinating shotgun. But yeah, when you see how little wood there is around that action, it's a little scary. And but I have one that I'm not going to shoot it because it's not cracked now, and I don't want it to crack. So
No, no.
yeah, that barrel cleaned up really well.
Yeah, the barrel cleaned up great, and I, I use well, I clean them real good. I use Kroll and gun oil, 4/0 steel wool. Try to get all the rust and everything off of them that I can. Clean them down really good, polish them up pretty good. But one of the products I've used, and I learned this from another guy that cleans up antique guns, and I've been using it for a year. There's a product out there called Briwax, Briwax.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a furniture refinishing wax, but you can
Hmm.
buy it in different colors. And on an antique gun, I like to use the ebony or black Briwax on all the metal, and I use dark walnut color on this wood. It will not make it black. It will just even it all out and tone it out. The nice thing about breed wax though is it's hard as a brick. You put it on and leave it till tomorrow. When you go back to buff it off, you better bring some elbow grease. It's uh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it really preserves your gun really really well. It stops all that
Yeah.
fingerprinting and all that. So that's 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 some of what you see in here is that metal cleaned up and really cleaned up a lot and then waxed and buffed back out again.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've used that Brie wax before. Another thing, I'll have to bring this on the podcast sometime. I found it's a real fine steel wire wheel,
yeah.
and I put that in my drill press, and you can, if you have a little bit of just some surface rust or a little bit of pitting, you can knock that off and not damage the bluing um, on your gun.
We use them too. I get them from Brown Hills. It's called a carding wheel. It's used
Yes,
by gun
yes.
bluing guy and running at 12, 1500. You can actually stick your hand in it and let that wheel run on your hand. It won't hurt you. But
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, it'll get that rust off. If it's
Hmm.
standing rust, I like to use rim oil. Uh, Soak the rusty spots or rub it down in rim oil, and then either use a razor blade or a penny and scrape it with a penny. The metal is generally harder than the penny, and it'll break that standing rust off and get
Yeah.
it down. And then clean it. 4/0 steel wool, clean it a lot. Use some curl on it. Uh,
Hmm.
get that rust off. I use a
Yeah.
lot of Renaissance wax too on antique guns. I really like Renaissance wax.
Yeah. That carding wheel, that was a really neat thing to find because I've made good use of that.
Yeah, they're really nice, and they're not expensive. They work
No.
great.
Yeah, I think it was like $15, maybe
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
20 bucks. Worth every penny though. If you're messing around with these old guns, they're something to have.
yeah. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt your wood generally if it kind of bumps the wood a little bit. But I try not to get wood around a wheel or a grinding stone.
Right.
But yeah, it works good. It works good.
Well, I think you did a great job, George. This
Well,
is that
thank
was a monumental task. I mean,
you.
the
It it was fun. It really was fun. I enjoyed it, and it kind of scared me a little bit after I committed to doing that. I thought, "What are you doing, boy? Don't mess up this man's gun." But it's
uh,
good. It's good.
I
I
think
wish that would have been a little bit darker right there, but I thought I had it, but I just didn't get it quite brown enough.
I think he's gonna be happy with it.
Oh, it looks better at 5 feet than it does up close like that. So,
Yeah, and that's where it says LC Smith there.
L.C. Smith, yeah,
Okay, and this was a 20 gauge,
it's a 12.
12. Okay,
It's a 12 Damascus hammer gun, about 1900, I think. As I said before, that surprised me a little bit that they were still doing Damascus hammer guns that late. I think I'm right about that. But as you found out, L.C. Smith numbers and dates are a hard thing to run down.
But,
It's it's almost you know it's almost you need to be a crypto guy to figure it out.
yeah, they're very complicated because they
Yeah,
use the same numbers over multiple years, and so you kind of have to know what you're looking at to begin with to suss that all out. So Good job, George. Thank you.
Well, thank y'all, and you folks that's out there watching, thank you for watching. And Jeremy, we really appreciate it. It's a fun thing to do, and
Oh
it,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Well, we got some really cool stuff coming up that
yeah,
can't quite talk about just yet. But yeah, we got some pretty good news this week, and I think people are going to be really, really excited about what we got coming. So hopefully next week we can kind of crack that egg open a little bit
yeah, that's gonna be good.
and let people see what we got coming. Well, so yesterday I had kind of an interesting day. A good friend of mine, and we were talking about this before the show. That's not a thing I throw around lightly. Talking about somebody as a friend. This is somebody that is really dear to me and somebody I love. But he was looking for a 12 gauge pump, and I had an old Mossberg sitting around that. If you've watched the show, you know I don't shoot shotgun very often, and if I do, it's usually a 410 or maybe a 20 gauge. But so I had this shotgun, and he was wanting another Ruger 1022, and I had one of those that I didn't really need. I liked it, but didn't need it. I have a sporter version that I really cherish. So one of those is really enough. So I took those into town, and he traded me out for this CZ 455, which I've never owned a CZ, and I thought that was a pretty good trade between friends. It's got some nice furniture on it, and I forget what the name of this scope is. It's a Vortex Crossfire 2.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, 3x9x40. And I made a video with this gun today, and it was kind of funny. The first shot I took with it, I about jumped out of my seat because the trigger was so light. It surprised me, but it shot well. Held a pretty good group. I have to adjust it a little bit. I don't know. Scopes are kind of funny like that. People will see down them a little bit different, and this one was shooting just a little high and to the left, but it held a pretty good group, and so I was pleased with that. And shot some new ammo that I hadn't messed around with yet, but I was at a gun store the other day, and I was gonna buy some Ely, and he said, "Man, check out this Norma Match 22." He said people really like it, and it's affordable. It's about $8 a box, so that's what we shot today. And like I say, it held a pretty good group, and I got my end shoots 1422 out there, and shot that Norma with it as well, because if that end shoots won't shoot a good group with it, nothing will. And it did. It shot it very well. So that was fun. And the other thing was a little bit of serendipity. I'd taken a couple rifles to the gun shop there to show one of my buddies. There were a couple that you just don't see very often. One was that Lakefield Mark One. We talked about that in a prior podcast, and also that Marlin 99. So I took those into town, and I got to talking to the shop owner, and he every once in a while he'll go back there to his personal safe and pull something out to show me, and what he brought out really piqued my interest. So well, everybody is familiar with the Marlin 39A. That's been in production. I think it's the longest continually produced gun ever. 1937, I think, is the 1937 basically became the 39A, and they're still making it today, as far as I know. But this action is when you see it, you know it. Well, what he brought out is something that you don't see nearly as often, and that's the Marlin Model 20. This is a 20A. Really neat old rifle. Very, very thin. At the time, it was the lightest uh, repeater you could buy.
When
Big
was
old.
that gun made?
Well, it's really difficult to nail down a year. These do have serial numbers, but I was talking to Nibs over at Walnut and Steel today because he's got one as well. I wasn't able to find any solid numbers on that. So if anybody that's watching knows where I could find that information, I'd sure appreciate it. They came out in 1907 and they ran to 1922. Now I think in 1916 they kind of shut down the sporting arms division for the war. They had the Arsenal of Freedom deal going on, and they resumed in 21 and made it for another year. It's one interesting thing about that is the designer Lewis Hepburn
Yeah.
actually came over from Remington. That was that would have been 1881 at Marlin. They came out with the 1881 big bore 4570. Him and Andrew Burgess and I think Eli Whitney. Maybe they had done some work with him before that. And then they came out with the 1891, which was the first repeating 22 rifle that could shoot short, long, and long rifle. And that's one thing that the Model 20 can do is it can shoot all three. And I think we've talked about this before where, Remington had kind of their proprietary 22 cartridge for probably too long
Yeah.
before they jumped over to 22 long rifle. You could probably speak more on that than I can, but yeah, being able to shoot short, long, and long rifle was a pretty big deal back then, and really it kind of still is. There's there's not a whole bunch of rifles out there that do that because it's difficult to do, and so I've gotten to mess around with that a little bit. I took some pictures today, some close-ups for everybody because you don't get to see
I'm getting close.
this rifle very often, and so my wife was kind enough to help me take some pictures to share with everybody. Let me get this up here. So it's got a nice crescent butt plate on it, metal butt plate. And if you want to find the serial number on these, there's two places. One is on this butt plate because the butt plate was matched.
Okay, I found this on the web for find a serial number on
Okay,
lasers.
Siri. uh, the stock had to be fitted to that butt plate, so they serialized the butt plate, and then also under the tang, you will find a serial number. Now, this not being my rifle, I certainly didn't want to go digging into the tang, but I did ask him, do you mind if I put a screwdriver on this and find the serial number? And so we did. Really neat shaped buttstock there.
Yeah.
And this one is in really pretty good condition. Um, yeah, I did clean it up just a little bit. I hit it with some tack cloth just to get the dirt and grime off of it. But there you see 20A. I think there was like a 20S and maybe a 20L. I haven't completed my research on this. There is a good a good write up in Bill Ward's book, Walnut and Steel. He's got 2 of these that I will grab to see what he has to say. There's a 1 and a 2. So if anybody's into these old rimfires, that's a pretty good resource. So yeah, I mean, just look at the fit and finish on this gun, George. Everything's tight and well machined. I would be interested to know how many were made.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen a whole lot of information. You know, on a gun like this, you kind of have to get into the forums and really dig around. But it was a takedown model.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Yes, that's nice.
It's crisp and still got a little bit of bluing on it. And it's got the screw adjustable sight there, so you know, rather than having the ramp sight, you can really dial this thing in. So there you see 22 short, long, and long rifle. And you know, back then, a knurled hammer like that took some time.
Yeah.
You know, that's what amazes me about these old firearms is that it took real craftsmen to make these, and they're beautiful. Just a beautiful piece of history. And then of course you see the same kind of action as what you see on the 39. And if you've ever had a 39 apart, it's amazing how simple it really is. I mean, there's a lot of complicated action from just a few parts. The four stock is held on just with those 2 screws on one side.
They're just on one side?
Yes.
Okay.
Now this one is a little bit different from the other ones I've seen. Um, I guess some of them, the outside of the magazine tube would slide forward. On this one, the inside slides out, and there's a groove that runs all the way down. See if I can get that on camera. Oh, wrong side. So it's a big, long groove.
Wow.
And I haven't shot this yet because I haven't figured out how you fit a 22 shell in there. It's not wide enough. The rim of the cartridge is bigger than this slot. So I would, if somebody out there, I just know it's going to be something that I'm just completely overlooking, but I was not able to get a cartridge in there, and I sure didn't want to jam it in. So, and I pulled it out as far as I felt comfortable pulling it out because it is spring loaded. So I didn't want to damage the spring inside there. But yeah, if anybody knows how you load this thing, I would sure like to hear, because I'm just not seeing how it's done. And I do I do want to shoot it because I got permission to shoot it, and that I might not get another chance.
Look at
So
that.
isn't that wild?
Yeah.
But yeah, the rim will not fit in there. And I even tried, you know, putting the rim in first,
Yeah.
if it would drop in that way, and it won't. So I'm just not sure on that. There you can see that nice crown.
Mm-hmm.
Few little nicks here and there. Now these came with either ivory bead or a brass bead, but I guess if you find one that still has it, you really got something. And of course the solid flat top, the Winchester ejected from the top. I believe that was the '06. They had one of those at the shop that was sure calling my name. If it had been all original, maybe I would have. But um, yeah, that was one of the neat things about these is that they were side eject, and they actually, I believe, on this one. Let's see. Um, no, it was the 1891. It was a solid top side eject, had a removable side plate, and the first year was a loading gate. They
Oh,
only they only made that for 1 year. So if you ever see an 1891 with the side loading gate, you probably want to buy it. And there's the trigger guard. And this is just a little hole um, on that magazine tube. So I'm not sure what it's for. And here we're shows just how thin it is.
yeah, it is.
Remarkably thin. And I think it's about 4 pounds. So pretty light firearm. And it still has the bullseye, which is pretty neat. It may be a replacement. I don't know. But given the condition of the rest of the gun, I think it is probably.
I bet it's right. I
I
bet
think
it's
it, I think it probably is. And it doesn't look like the gun's been refinished to me. And here is the serial number that is on that butt plate, L488. Now I know later Marlin used letters for um, to determine what year it was made in, but I couldn't find records that far back that listed what letters they used for the year.
Is the stock serialized in the
No,
wood? Is it? It's not stamped anywhere.
no, the stock isn't. Mm-mm. There's just the two serial numbers, one on the butt plate and one underneath the top tang.
Big time.
Yeah, and I think I got a couple pictures of the bore here. Yeah, I got one on here, but the rifling looks pretty good. It was hard to get a picture of it. I don't have an actual bore light, so I was having a hard time getting the lighting and holding the camera just right. But it doesn't look like it's shot out.
No, no.
So yeah, I was really thankful to Brent over at Hard Cash Pawn. You guys can look them up on Facebook. It's hard cash pawn, and they're in Eufaula, Oklahoma. So check them out. They can't put pictures of their firearms on Facebook, um, but I'm going to do another video on this gun, and when I do that, I'll put some pictures up of their shop. It's a neat old shop. I've been trading with them for, gosh, 20 years or better, and I bought and traded and sold with them, and I never have to worry about uh, price. I know they're going to be fair on price, and not there's not a lot of places that are like that. A lot of pawn shops they act like they don't want to sell anything, and so yeah, Hard Cash Pawn in Eufaula, Oklahoma. Check them out. And then I got a few pictures of that CZ up close in case anybody wanted to see that. Let me pull those up. You ever shot one of those Marlin 20s, George?
No, no, I've never. No, I haven't.
I think you mentioned the other day that you have a 39 Mountie.
I do. I got a.
I
I got a recently a good one. A
Yeah,
good.
boy, I had one and it was nice, and it's just one of those times I had to trade it off. But that's definitely one I wish I had maybe
You can't.
traded something else off instead of that one.
You can't keep them all. Oh, look at that.
I know. Yeah, that's got really good wood grain on it. That's kind of how you want your grain to run on that
That's
stock.
right. That's right.
Got some nice press checkering there. And I didn't rotate these. Sorry about that, guys. But these are CZ USA, Kansas. Now, I don't know if they make them here or assemble them here.
I have no idea. I always thought CZ Fit and Finish was about as good as anybody's.
After handling this one, I'd have to agree. It's the first one I've ever messed around with, but I liked it. The bolt ran good. I mean, it's not like my inch shoots, but there probably isn't many rifles out there that are.
Mm-mm.
But I was pretty impressed with it, and that scope's not bad. To me, it needs a gloss scope on it just to make it look right. But as far as the optics of that scope, I thought it was pretty good. One neat thing about the 455 is you can interchange barrels. You can put a 22 long rifle or a 17 HMR. Um, so
You
that's
need a
kind
barrel. You need a
of, yeah,
barrel.
I think I do. I'll have to look around and see what just a barrel runs. I would think probably a couple $100, but I don't know. Okay, here we go. Made in Czech Republic.
CZ.
So yeah, so they must import them. Sometimes they'll import them just in parts and then assemble them here for whatever regulations, but I'm not sure. Tally rings on it, which I like. I like the height of those rings. They work good with this gun. And the open sights on these are supposed to be really good. And this one did come with the iron sights. They are what do they call them? Tangent adjustable sights. And by all accounts, they are an excellent open sight. So when I do decide to swap out that scope, I'm going to put those sights on there and try them out just to see how I like them. It looks like there's a couple of adjustment screws on the front there. I hadn't looked real close at that yet. And there should be a hood on there if you're using the open sights. So, yeah, there we go. That's the CZ455. Comes with a 5-round magazine. You can get a 10-round magazine to go with it. It is a plastic magazine. And that's all I've got there. That which is holding it up is one of those open L knives. I don't know if you've ever had one of
Yeah,
those. They're
I do.
they're a pretty neat old knife. So we'll close that out. And yeah, I think that's kind of what I got today. Um, before the show, we had a brief conversation. My friend Clifford had asked me a while back. He said, "When are you going to start doing some fellowshipping on your channel?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." when I named this channel, that was just kind of the name that God impressed upon me, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go and uh, exactly what it was going to do, and I guess I still don't. Um, but that was we were kind of talking about that earlier. I was reading a book of Jonah, and he kind of ran up into the same situation. God wanted him to do something, and he didn't feel like he needed to do it. And then even after he did do what God asked, he was still mad at God because he had let the people get by with it and forgave him, and he was mad about that because he knew that God was gonna forgive him, and he didn't think he needed to do all that. But so yeah, I don't know. We've talked a little bit about fellowship on this channel before, and so I do get that question occasionally, um, and I get some criticism. Um, just for having the word fellowship in the name of my channel. There are people that don't feel like that belongs in firearms um, arena, I guess. I don't know how else to say it, but um, I suppose, George, that some people think that there is evil in firearms. And
There's some people think there's evil in anything.
yes, sir, they do. They do.
You
But
just have to judge for yourself. If it makes sense to you and you're being honest with yourself, then that's where you got to start. I think
yeah,
acknowledge your blessings and try to share them with your fellow man if you can.
yes, absolutely. And we were talking about that too. The words that you say sometimes can kind of cause the outcome. I've known a lot of people that I really liked, but they view the world in a very negative way, and it seems to permeate their life sometimes. Just having a constant negative outlook, they sort of speak it into existence, and being around people that are positive and loving, and I guess that's part of the fellowship here. I have so enjoyed uh, being able to visit with really great people, have great conversations, on air and off air. A lot of these guys that I'll call up and we talk for an hour,
Yeah,
and so that's one of the wonderful blessings that has come from this YouTube venture, and I think it's just going to get better. And I really appreciate guys like you, George, and
thank you,
and
Jim.
Mike and Roy and everybody that has pitched in to make this something special. And I really think it is going to be something special. So
We
thank
think it's something special. I think the Remington Society is reaping benefits from it already, and we're so appreciative. I think it's kind of incumbent on us to to have a good word with folks. I'm always a little bit surprised at how just a few good words to folks sometimes, how receptive they are to that sometimes, and how they'll kind of open up a little bit for just a few, not preaching to them, just a few positive words. All you got to say is, "Man, it's a beautiful day today. Aren't we blessed?" And
Yeah.
and sometimes folks will just open up to no more than that. And
Mhm.
I think it's important, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Like I've said before, I'm not one to stand on a block and
Yeah,
tell everybody what they need to do or what they should do, because I'm as imperfect as any man has ever been, and Lord knows I've made plenty of mistakes, and I'll probably keep making them. But you know, I love Jesus Christ and God, and hopefully everybody one day finds that in their life, because I think it does help.
Just be honest with yourself. You'll find it.
That's right. That is right. Well, George, I think we can wrap this. We can put a wrap on this one.
Well,
I
I
sure.
appreciate it. I enjoyed visiting with you this afternoon. This is good, and getting to show off that shotgun, that Mitch's gun, my buddy's gun.
Man,
I'm really pleased with that, and I'm looking forward to giving it to him tomorrow. I hope he's as happy with it as I am.
I'd love to see the look on his face when he gets to see it. Because
Maybe I can get Myron to take a picture of him when I hand it to him.
hey, there you go. Yeah,
We'll see how it is. But I sure enjoyed it, and enjoyed you folks being here and all that. Hug your kids, tell them you love them, and have a good day.
amen to that, buddy.
Catch you
We'll
later.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.